Welcome back. I'm MTG Joe, and today we're finally getting around to playing some Aristocrats on MTG Arena. So this is a three-color Aristocrats deck. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Aristocrats themed decks are basically decks where you sacrifice your own creatures for value. So in this deck here, our major payoff is Judith the Scourge Diva. So she allows our creatures to get a buff of +1/0, so we can attack in with stronger creatures. But really what's relevant with her is the second part of her text. Whenever a non-token creature we control dies, we deal 1 damage to any target. So when our creatures die, we can either kill their creatures or just deal damage directly to the opponent. The rest of the deck consists of 3 Gutterbones, which is just a creature we can reoccur from the graveyard. 4 Footlight Fiends. So this is relevant for a couple reasons. One, it deals extra damage when it dies, in addition to Judith. So if we have a Judith out and it blocks, it could effectively kill a creature with 3 toughness, as well as it's multicolor, which works well with Hero of Precinct One. So Hero is whenever you cast a multicolor spell, create a 1/1 white creature token. So this will trigger Hero. We're playing 4 Adanto Vanguards in this version. The deck is a little bit weak to sweepers, so just being able to pay the life is something I wanted to try out. We're playing 2 Tithe Takers. This makes counter spells a little bit more costly, or just opponent playing spells on their turn, as well as the Afterlife just leaves a body behind should we sack it to any of our effects. We have Priest of the Forgotten Gods. I've played around up to 4 in the deck. I find 2 pretty much to be the sweet spot. Um, because it doesn't have haste, it's a little slow to actually be able to use its ability, and it usually gets targeted quite quickly. And without creatures on the board, it's not that effective. But if you are able to get this going, it is a very strong effect. So if you sacrifice 2 creatures, any number of target players each lose 2 life and sack a creature, and then you get to add mana and draw a card. So this can trigger um, like any sort of damage effects. It can trigger the ability for Spectacle to return Gutterbones and then play it back. We're also playing Fireblade Artist, so this is a sack outlet, it's haste, and it could give us tokens with Hero of Precinct One. 4 of the namesake card of the deck, as well as 2 Tajic, Legion's Edge, so this allows us to grow our smaller creatures. It's a hasty threat, and it gets around like Lightning Strike or other damage-based sweepers to our board. We're playing 3 Mortifies, just a flexible removal spell, and can trigger Hero once again. The card that I really like in the deck is Heroic Reinforcements. So this can allow us to get tokens with Hero. It also pluses our team and gives them all haste, so this is a good way to close out the game fairly quickly. And then finally we're playing 2 Carnival Carnage. Again, multicolor spell for Hero, but also early removal if need be. It could ping a Teferi if it down ticks, for example, to tuck one of our cards. And then the Carnage side is pretty good against like any sort of mid-range or control deck. The mana base itself, it's pretty much an assortment of duels, and we're playing 1 basic Swamp just for Field of Ruin or Settle the Wreckage, anything of that side. So we'll take it for a spin. We'll play a couple games of best of 1 with it and see how it goes. So if you can, let me know. I've been playing around with the audio settings as well as the background music. Let me know if things are improved on your end now. With something with my mic settings that I think I finally overcame. But let me know nonetheless. And if you haven't done so already, a free and easy way to support the channel is to hit that subscribe button at the bottom right. It doesn't cost you anything, and it goes a long way to helping me continue to build out the channel itself. So this hand's pretty solid. We can Fiend into either Vanguard or Priest. And then Judith on 3, so this is a nice aggressive start. So it looks like the opponent's on Esper, so they'll probably take the Vanguard here is my guess. But even the having double priest is a good draw for us because they can't really get rid of any of the Judith. So they opt to go with the thief here, or the priest, which is a little strange. Personally, I would have probably taken the Vanguard. It survives most of their wraths. So just attack in and play out the Vanguard here. So some of these decks now are playing Cryocarnarium, which is pretty bad, but any sort of like Mortify effect on Vanguard doesn't really do much. Heroic Reinforcements is really good. So we'll play out a Judith, power up our team, and then go in from there. So they Moment of Craving the Judith. We'll shoot the opponent. So here the opponent likely is holding up a counter spell. I'd rather run out the Heroic Reinforcements than the Judith. Judith tends to be more of an efficient card. Okay, so they negate that. So not bad, at least it's not absorbed. They can't gain the life. And we have them on a 3-turn clock if they could control what we're playing. Otherwise, it's even faster. So this is likely Teferi, which is fine. So they'll likely... Okay, so they opt to not tuck there. So here, we'll play out Heroic. Them having 2 negates is pretty good. Just play out the land and pass the turn. So they'll get another draw. You don't see these Esper decks playing 2 mainboard negates that often. And we had lethal if that card resolved. See what the opponent comes out with here. So they hit the Footlight Fiend here. Teferi's at 1. I'd rather just go for the opponent's face here. We're going to have to attack in with the Vanguard anyways. So it doesn't make much difference. So here, we'll just attack Teferi. And let's try to Carnage the last 2 cards out of their hand. Thought Collapse is an odd card. It's fine. Clears out our board, and it's another counterspell they won't have for Judith. So let's try to drop the Judith here. Play out the Footlight Fiend. Attack for everything. So if they have a Kaya's Wrath, they're dead anyways because we deal the 2 damage, then attack for 3. So that was a good showing against Esper. You can see the resilience and just why I like Vanguard in a lot of these matchups. Play a couple more games. Let me know if you've been playing Aristocrats, what variation you've liked. I know some play Tesa, others don't. I like the sand. Uh, there's an option to play this untapped. I think we do just to see if we can Carnival, like an Explore creature, perhaps. Wild Growth Walker is pretty bad for us. So if we got like a Merfolk, Branch Walker, something like that, it would have been fine. I'm going to Mortify this next turn if we draw the land. So we were just trying to catch the Branch Walker last turn with the Carnival. Fine Finality. Sorry about that. So opponent attacks in, we'll pass the turn here, no blocks. So here we're not going to block with the Vanguard, so if they want to trade the Branch Walker, they can. It's actually quite good for us. We'll just Mortify this down now so they don't get the Explore triggers. So here we have the option to Carnival to get 2 cards out of their hand, which isn't bad. But I think we'll just double spell and then either follow up with Judith or Tajic. So Vivian, some good card advantage for them. Ravenous Chupacabra is also a really good draw for them. Fireblade Fiend's not bad, but I think we go Tajic here. And let's just try to kill the Vivian. So we can mentor on the Priest. And we'll just Carnival to take down the Vivian. Gives them a lot of card advantage, which we don't want. So hopefully they blow this Ravenous Chupacabra on the Priest here, which would be good. And then we can follow up with Judith. They play Merfolk Branchwalker. Hydroid Krasis is a good mirror breaker for them. So we need to be aggressive. So Judith here is good because it allows us to push through enough damage with the Vanguard. See if they take the block here. We can pay life to keep it alive. And I think we're in a pretty good position. Like our life title's a little low. Okay, so they can adapt this, and they have the Brontodon. So they can't adapt it this turn, which is good. So I'm going to attack since we have the other Judith. They'll likely offer the trade here. But we get to push through some extra damage. And then just play out another Judith. Heroic reinforcements would be very good here. So here... I think we have to take it. We're not winning this game by blocking. Gutterbones doesn't really help. So here, attack with Judith, play out the Gutterbones, play out a Judith, keep this Judith, ping them. So unfortunately, we're pretty much dead now. So we need some sort of resilient threat here. Heroic reinforcements isn't bad. Lets us attack in and then still hold back 2 blockers. We needed that last turn though. Alright. So enforcements off the top would be another. Priest doesn't really do much here. So we'll block and block. Mortify also wouldn't be too bad. So Footlight Fiend's not bad here because we can get back Gutterbones when it dies. The deck is quite resilient, which is nice. Didn't give us a chance. Yeah. We're basically dead at this point. We have to block. We're not coming back, and then it missed the trigger for us to get back the Gutterbones. Come on. Let me concede. Server. Okay. So we'll play another match here. Sultai's probably a little tough for us anyways. They tend to have slightly larger creatures. This hand's a little slow. We have 2 tap lands, but triple reinforcements is something good to play towards. Waiting on the opponent. So hopefully we don't get punished with getting an untapped land of the wrong color, but we could still play Vanguard regardless. Footlight Fiend's actually pretty good here. Gives us something to play this turn. So if they attack, I'm not going to take the block right now. I want them to commit a second creature to the board, so we have the option of pinging and then killing another creature. Waiting on the opponent. They might be having server issues now, so black-white, this might be some sort of Aristocrats deck of their own. They play Tithe Taker, so that's a good target to try to so because they play this main phase, I'm fine with doing so. Because then that gets rid of the Tithe Taker as well. They'll get the 2 spirits, but fine with that. So here I'm going to go the Fireblade Artist. No attacks. It's better than the Vanguard because it can at least block profitably. History Benalia is nice for them. So we'll decline here. So I think we're just going to jam Heroic Reinforcements here. See if they block. Because we have a bunch of creatures, or a bunch of these, we can just keep spamming the board and just try to out-aggressive them. So opponent goes down to 9 here. It is nice that they can... so let's see if they flip the landing here. Might be a dangerous attack for them. Kaya's pretty good for them here as well. They can exile. They gain some life. Here. Is that only target opponent or planeswalker? So here we could reinforcements again. So I think we just reinforcements. Attack with 1. Or they can net down tick on Kaya. I just want to hold back, just make more tokens to block because they're going to get the Benalia pump. And then next turn we could heroic again. Ajani's pretty solid for them as well. So it looks like they're just going a little bit bigger than us right now, and it's a little wider. Let's see how they decide to attack in this turn. Increasing the power on the lifelink ones will help win the race for them. Yeah. And then these having vigilance keep them back on defense, which makes them pretty solid. So we'll trade with one of the lifelinkers, I think. But this one's pretty much done. So they opt not to there. Not gonna block. Decline. So it's lethal, so they have to block. So opponent's got us dead on the crackback. Having the Adanto, like we don't gain life well in this deck, so them having that ability does kind of offset it for us. We'll give it one more shot, and then we'll switch up decks. I feel like this deck's missing like a free sack outlet, or like in the past the decks were a lot more synergistic. Like Judith only triggering on your non-token creatures is not as efficient. This hand's pretty solid. So depending if we need to be the aggressor or if they play like a Llanowar Elves. Okay, so here I just want to smash face. And we can triple spell next turn, or double spell. 1 and 2 drop, just be as mana efficient as possible. So they shock there, which is fine. And the Lava Coil, so this looks like some sort of Drake's deck. So really want to hit a land next turn. We have quite a bit of damage if we can. Yeah, most likely Drakes. Most of the lists now are playing up to 4 Lava Coils main. Still don't know if this is the Phoenix variation that we've played a couple times on stream that LSV brought to Mythic Championship, or just the Drake's version. Okay, so this is the Phoenix version. They'll play the radical ideas. Priest isn't the worst here. So Priest, if they play out a Drake, can allow us to sack the Drake and then produce mana for heroic reinforcements. Or even Carnival. Okay. I'm actually fine with that. We want to keep our creatures for the time being. Perfect. And this just puts down a lot of pressure. This deck's very good against decks that girdle. If they your opponent has creatures that can interact or cheap removal. So that was a good win for us. So let me know what you think of the deck itself, and drop a comment if you want to see any other types of decks played around a specific card or anything like that. I'm really just about creating content that you, the viewer, wants to see. And if you haven't done so already, if you can hit that subscribe button, it's free and it goes a long way to help supporting the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great one.